Now we're going to look at a project that we'll discuss, and I hope you all can do it with me, or later on after this session. We can send it in the next meeting. If God blesses us with time, we can do another project, God willing. The project we're going to work on now, as you can see, I've clarified something like this for you. It's like I'm creating something with a simple graphic and a simple animation that illustrates to my students how much men and women participate. In the presentation, there's a specific image representing men and women, and there's a certain animation. Now, you can notice that the blue represents 50% of the man's body, and the red here represents 75% of the woman's image. So it expresses this ratio of 75% and 50%. We're taking into account what we mentioned about color harmony. I'm creating something that has a simple graphic with a simple animation that illustrates to my students how much men and women participate. In the presentation, there's a specific image representing men and women, and there's a certain animation. Now you can notice that the blue here represents 50% of the man's body. The blue represents 50% of the man's body, and the red here represents 75% of the woman's image. So it expresses this ratio of 75% and 50%. We're taking into account what we mentioned about color harmony. Okay, we're looking at the alignment that we saw together. Okay, the colors themselves, the animation that appeared and what happened. Okay, let's look at it together. And for you to see what I've done, this is a completely new slide. I found myself needing to create these two shapes. Of course, you might have an image, any image, or you can use insert and go to the stock images we talked about, or you can also go to icons here. We call them icons. You can go to icons and choose icons. No problem at all, right? It will take you to the same place. When I went to icons, what do I need? I need an image or an icon that represents a man. Here's the man. I selected the man. The icon here is obviously small. If any of you can see, I'm just dragging it and enlarging it like this. Now it looks like this. So I have what? This is the man. Then I also need an image that represents the female element. So I go to the icons here and say, well, here should be the woman. It brings me the representative image, and I say, insert. Of course, the icon is always small, so I'm going to enlarge it like this and place it here, making it bigger. Okay, here, you definitely need to start enlarging until you reach what? You'll notice that there's a line above the head that's broken, indicating that the alignment itself is not correct, all right? But from the bottom here, from under the man's image, it's bigger and taller. So if you all remember with me when we brought up the view menu and accessed the grid lines are what we were talking about, so that when I do this, okay, it starts to clarify whether I'm really aligned correctly or not, okay? But from the bottom here, under the man's image, it's bigger and taller. So if you all remember with me when we brought up the view menu and accessed the grid lines are what we were talking about, so that when I do this, okay, it starts to clarify whether I'm really aligned correctly or not. So I can come here and make the man look like this, and this image should look like this. They should be exactly together. What should they be? And then, are they aligned correctly together? But if this one, for example, is lower, what should I do? I select both and go to the home menu. I'm going to go to the range, a line that we talked about, and tell it to align to the top so it can move. This is really what I benefited from the range menu here, to adjust the alignment to the top. So, benefited from the discussion we had. All right, good. I can start by selecting both shapes and grouping them together a bit. Then I want to create a text before writing 50% or 75%. Select two shapes and fill them with color. The fill means giving them a color like this, gray. We found two colors here. Notice I have a gray and a blue color here, and a gray and a red color here. How can I create this? I need two shapes stacked, aligned, one in gray, and create another identical one. Remember when we did Control D? It created an identical shape. I place it on top, so they are stacked. Now when I click and go to fill, I choose blue. Now I have one blue underneath and one gray on top. That's the idea. Now for the female element, I'm going to do Control D. you'll notice that I have a gray color and a blue color here, and a gray color and a red color here. So how can I create something like this? I need to have two shapes stacked on top of each other, aligned, one in gray, and I'll create another one that's identical. So when we did Control D, what did Control D do? It created an identical shape for me. Take it and place it right on top to be two shapes stacked on top of each other. Now, when I click on it and go to the fill option, I can say, give me the blue color. So now I have one in blue underneath and one in gray on top. That's it. Now for the girl or the female element here, I'm going to do Ctrl D. So when I click on it like this, what do? I go to the fill and tell it to give me the blue color. Now I have one in blue underneath and one in gray. Do you see that? That's the whole idea. Now for the girl or the female element here, I'm going to do Control D. I will do Control D. Here it is, Control D. I'll take this one and give it the red graphic fill. And this is what we agreed on. I need to have a graphic fill. Here it is, and I'll give it the red color. Now I'll move it above the gray. So now I have blue on top of gray and red on top of gray. I will do Control D. Here it is, Control D. I'll apply the red graphic fill to this one here. And that's what we agreed on. I need to have a graphic fill. Here it is, and I'll give it the red color. Now I'll move it above the gray. So now I have blue on top of gray and red on top of gray. Okay, so what do I do now? I have here, I make text in it, text here, click here, then from insert, I write here, 50%, okay? 50%. When I made 50%, okay, I come here, I make it bigger here like this, and make it bold, for example. So I have 50%, as you can see. So I adjust the size of this text, make it bold, and do everything to it so I can copy it using Ctrl-C and then paste it here with Ctrl-V. You'll notice that there are guidelines exactly here, right at 75%. Now, to coordinate the colors, and this is one of the points I'm working on, since this one is blue, what should I do? It's better to make this one blue as well. So I used it here, and I'll extend it to blue, and then I want to give it a red color. I'll apply the red color to it. Okay, to coordinate the colors, and this is one of the points I'm working on, since this one is blue, what should I do? It's better to make this one blue as well. So I used it here, and I'm extending the blue color to it. Now, I want to give it a red color. I'll apply the red color to it. If the shade isn't available, I can use the eyedropper tool here, and when I click, it will give me the exact red color I want. It will give me the red color. Okay, if the shade isn't available, I can get the eyedropper tool here, and when I click, it will give me the exact vibrant red color. So I use the same tool that we talked about today. What are we going to take? I took the color shade. Okay. What do I do next? I want to make this blue color fade out till here at 500. So what do we do? Let's apply our discussion on shapes. Insert a rectangle shape, position it here, make it blue. Select all shapes. Use subtract in merge shapes. Cut out underneath, leave blue. Remove top part. Extend shape to 75%. And I want this shape to extend to here. This shape will be blue. I need to select the shape, select the rectangle shape below, and then when we talked about merge shapes, I'll go to the option called subtract. You can see that it will cut out the part that's below, leaving only the blue part. The part above will be removed. Now, when I want to cut the part above, I first select the image of the girl, hold down Control, and select the rectangle. Then I go to shape format, find merge, and tell it to subtract, meaning cut out just the part of the head. As you can see, it cuts it out, leaving the red part here. So now I have the part underneath will be in blue, and the part above will be removed. So I have this same idea where I'm inserting or bringing in a shape, but this shape is what I need to extend to here because this is 75%. I want to just simply cut the part above. So first I simply select the image of the girl, hold down Control, and indeed select the rectangle. Then I actually go to shape format, find merge, and actually tell it to subtract, which means cut out just the part of the head. As you can see, it cuts out, leaving the red part here. So now I have, so these are the two shapes. So these are static shapes, not animated. There's still no animation. I just cut it like this. The blue shape in this must be animation. I need to add my animation using the wipe effect, which creates a sweeping motion from bottom to top. I'll click on it, and you can see how it moves quickly. Or to control it, adjust the duration. It's set to 1.5 seconds, but I'll increase it to 2 or 2.5 seconds for a smoother effect. The blue color should appear at 50%. I also want to add a float-in effect from bottom to top. When it reaches the girl, it should be at 100%. The text should come in gradually. Then, for number 3, the girl, I'll use the wipe effect at 75% or the float-in effect. In preview, the blue color should show immediately without clicking. So you should also apply a float-in effect from bottom to top. So it appears like that from bottom to top, reaching the girl at 100%. Then the text should come in gradually, one by one. After that, we go to number 3, the girl. And I'll go to the wipe effect at 75%, or the one that makes it float in from bottom to top. So if I do a preview, you'll notice what happens when I click. But there's a point you need to keep in mind here. For the blue color that appears, I'm telling it to show immediately. I don't need to click for it to show. So right now, if I do a preview, nothing appears unless I click for the blue color to show. So that the red color appears and I click at 75%. No, I want this movement to appear all at once without having to keep clicking. What should I do? I come here to 100% and tell it after previous, meaning after what? After the boy's action. I go to the girl and tell it after previous. When I say to him after previous, meaning after, I do a preview. And it appears automatically by itself without me having to click anything. I really enjoy working with PowerPoint and doing my projects. This is a simple example with another animation on top. I'm explaining to you with a simple example. In this example, we used how we saw the shapes together, right? How we used the shapes and benefited from them to show this color at just 50%. We also used animation, and we were able to use the animation without having to click the mouse. Without having to click the mouse, without having to click. That is a simple example. That is a simple example. I will show you today how to use it.